Boomers don't seem to understand why more people in their 20s and 30s aren't buying houses, but the math is actually really simple. My parents bought this home in the 1980s for $60,000. To afford a $60,000 house with a 10% down payment and an 18% interest rate, they need to be making about $30,000 a year to keep their mortgage costs under 30% of their gross income. The median wage in 1980 was $41,348 a year. So the average full-time worker could afford a home on a single salary, making up about 23% of their gross income. But this is where it gets really interesting, because in 2021, the average income for millennials was $51,000 a year. That same house my parents bought for $60K in the 80s is estimated to sell for over $1.15 million today. You have to put 20% down to buy a house over $1 million, so the down payment alone would be $230,000. For the sake of this math, let's just pretend that that's a reasonable amount of money for someone to save that makes $51,000 a year. And so they would finance the rest. That would be $920,000 at a 6% interest rate. This would be $5,886 a month, or over $70,000 a year, which is $19,000 more than the average millennial makes before taxes. So let's imagine instead it's not a single person trying to buy a home, it's a couple, and they're both making the average millennial salary of $51,000 a year, or $102,000 for the household. This comes out to 69% of their gross income, and they would never get financed for that. And this is why traditional advice doesn't work for our generation. We live in a completely different world, and the only way to actually get ahead is to understand that what worked for them won't work for us, and learn a new way to do it without the BS. And this is exactly what I talk about on my account. I went from $40,000 in debt to a millionaire at 30 years old when I stopped listening to society. I built my own path, and now it's time to build yours too. Check our link in bio to get started with our free money trainings.